Well, I don't know if I call it a revenge book. I do name names, and I definitely place some blame. The point of the book, I think, is really to describe honestly what it's like to actually work in Silicon Valley. As a brief CV, I started a small company, went through what's called Y Combinator, which is the prestige accelerator in the United States, sold the company to Twitter, worked for years at Facebook, and then went back to Twitter and then wrote this book. It's not like The Social Network. The Social Network was not a very accurate film, I think. Certainly in terms of capturing either Zuck or the culture. But I do think there's an element of what's usually called bro culture inside Silicon Valley. And what that means, it's a little bit hard to translate. The idea is everyone behaves like they're still in a fraternity or still in college, even though they're 20-something professionals making real money in a very real business. But there's still this feeling of a certain trolling irreverence, of a very competitive culture of trying to push code or push a new product, of almost a feeling of being in battle together, right, as you push products, either in a startup or at Facebook. So I was selling the company to Twitter, and the way it works is they interview everybody in the company, because these acquisitions are really more like a mass hiring than they are an acquisition. In fact, in English, they're called an acqui-hire. That's the technical term for them. And so I was going through the process with Facebook. It was a long day of interviews, right? Seeing if you're up to snuff and part of Facebook culture. I go to the bathroom, I'm washing my hands after, and there's a guy on the toilet clacking away on his laptop. And from the way that the keys clacked, you can tell he wasn't like chatting with his girlfriend, he was actually coding. And so he was actually coding part of Facebook while on the toilet. He didn't want to waste time, the 15 minutes or whatever. I think they're just different. So I worked at Goldman Sachs as what's called a quant, the guy who writes the models that price the derivatives, right, that make all this derivative stuff possible. I think they're different, right? Wall Street thrives on usually monopolies of information in some sense, right? Goldman has a certain view on the market that most people don't have, and they benefit from that. I think in Silicon Valley, people tend to be a little bit more open, and the idea is to disrupt the existing order rather than sort of maintain it zealously. Although I don't know. I mean, once you reach a certain size, I think Facebook and Goldman are not very different.